Grab yourself some white pillow covers from a big box store. Measure the area that you want to cover with the leather and add 1/2 inch to each dimension. Then I cut up some brown paper to the same dimensions and scrunched it up really tight to make lots and lots of wrinkles. Smooth it all out. The next step is to stain this paper. Now you can use any kind of stain, you can use acrylic paint. I'm using some brown glaze and I've mixed it with water to make it spread easier, and I'm working it in really hard into the paper to make sure all the wrinkles show. Keep moving across the paper until all of it's covered and remove any excess with a paper kitchen towel. And as you can see, the wrinkles are really showing up now and making this look like it is worn leather. Keep going and then leave the whole thing to dry. Next, I'm going to seal the paper, and to do this, I'm using some gloss gel medium. Any make will do. Again, I've mixed it with some water and I'm spreading it quite liberally across the whole paper, working it into those wrinkles. Again, use a kitchen towel to wipe off any excess. Keep going until the whole paper is covered and then leave it to dry. And I will tell you that it actually starts to feel very supple and very leather-like. The next thing I do is cut up some bubble wrap, and I'm putting this inside the pillow cover, and this is going to protect the underneath part from my next step, which is to apply some gloss gel medium. It's the same medium I used on the paper to seal it. I've taped off the area of the pillow that I don't want to cover, and now I'm applying this gel medium with a brush very liberally. We really need a good coating of this all over. Keep going until the whole thing is covered. And then taking the paper, which is now dry, you press it down while the gel medium is still wet. Leave it to dry. It will take a couple of hours, and then when it is dry, flip it over and trim away the excess paper with a pair of scissors, and this will give you a really neat edge. And here are my pillows. I'm so excited by them. They feel lovely and they look amazing. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and you are inspired to have a go at this amazing technique. You're watching Hometalk. I'll see you next time. First thing I'm going to do is, using a copper acrylic paint from the art store, I'm going to use this kitchen sponge scrubby thing and apply copper paint all over the surface. I have now given this 2 coats of copper acrylic paint, and I'm now going to leave it to dry. I am choosing to do a green patina on my copper candlestick. The patina that develops on copper can range from a blue-green to a blue to a deep green, but I'm going to go for a mid-range green. So using one of the cut-up sea sponges and picking up all the colours at the same time on my sponge, I'm going to apply it over the copper, getting into all the little nooks and crannies. It's really good to do this technique on something that has a bit of a raised effect on it, because that's going to really show up by the time we've finished and expose the copper underneath. Okay, so I'm going to just show you one section at a time. And before the paint dries, we're going to take another sponge, dip it into clean water, and use that to take off the greens and the whites that we don't want, exposing the copper underneath. It's easier to do this by painting on and taking off than trying to get the effect just with paint. So as you can see, when I stand this up, I've now revealed all the raised parts where the copper is, and all the green patina has settled where the rain would naturally have settled. So using the fingers of the sponge, pick up just a little bit of the paint and give the impression of the drips going down. Not too much. Don't worry if you do too much, because we will go back at the end and correct anything that we feel we've overworked. So I will carry on now and just show you this part down here. Again, picking up all the colours, dabbing it on, and where there's like a little ledge, that colour would be darker because it would not have been washed away. Get another piece of sponge and again expose the copper underneath. So I have worked all the way around this now, and I'm really happy with how all this looks. I've actually gone over the copper again in places just to give it more shine and to make it stand out again. I just used a small paintbrush, picked up the copper paint and just glided it over the raised parts. I just want to show you another thing you can do in order to get these really good drip effects. So picking up a little bit of white or light colour, whatever you want to use, just dab it on like that, and then taking a spray bottle, just spray it like that and let it run down, and then it will leave a trail, and then you can just mop up any bits that you don't want. And you just keep doing that and dabbing off, putting on, taking off, until you get the finish that you want. And here is another candlestick I did, same kind, but I used a lot of blues in this one and just went for a blue patina. So those two, and then I wanted to show you this also. This was white. It was made of like a chalky kind of substance, not quite sure what it is. And I used some darker green colours on this and used the same effect. And here is the finished project. I'm so happy with how this candlestick turned out. So there you have it. Decades of patina created in just an afternoon. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and I've inspired you to have a go. I'm Julie McDowell. I'll see you next time.